Hello there. I spend an enormous amount of time thinking about field theory. Why? Because it's really fascinating. Everything from metaphysics to physics actually meets at field theory because everything is one, not two. There's no distinction between physics and metaphysics, except in the mind of a foolish person. I like making videos about topics that nobody else discusses, and after 6,400 videos, there's still actually an enormous amount of stuff that I'd like to discuss, both on field theory and metaphysics. The most important one, and I've talked about this about 2 years ago in a few different videos, about all great, amazing future technology. Stuff that is absolutely fascinating. Not normal, amazing inventions, but the stuff that will change the face of all humanity. I can tell you now, no speculation, no theory, no pontification. All amazing future technology that all of humanity will stop and drop their jaw will be a specific type of invention, and that will be point source energy. And I'm not talking about specifically free energy here. I'm talking about what conventionally is called anti-gravity. Everything that we currently use that fascinates humanity, that we use in our daily lives, specifically lasers and magnets and parabolic arrays, whether that be for the collection of non-visible light like radio. Um, Most houses, including mine, have a satellite dish outside of them. Those of course, are parabolic arrays, and that's a type of point source that is a focal gain collective, a focal gain parabolic, or say a mega million dollar um, astronomical telescope. Some of them like 30, 50 feet across. Those, of course, are all gain collectors, but they're focal gain collectors. There's three primary types, and I'm going to talk about talk about these three, and give you a couple obvious examples. Most people are familiar with types of geometry of point source, but they don't actually recognize it in their mind because everybody knows what a parabolic satellite dish looks like. Most people don't know that actually that increases the gain because most satellite TV broadcasts, for example, are 5 watts in the 440 megahertz range, and to get sufficient gain through clouds and whatnot, you have to use a parabolic dish. Today's TV dishes for like well, there's two main ones. What is it? Dish Network, and what's the other one? Which I actually happen to have, but I can't think off the top of my head. They're not that large, but that's a focal gain point source, a parabolic focal gain. The other type of a point source object, and I've talked about this endlessly, however, of course, is a magnet. Another one is a laser. Here on the top, and in the case, there are different types of lasers. There's chemical lasers, there's diode lasers. Most things are diode lasers. But on a conventional helium neon or a tube laser, it doesn't have to be helium neon, we actually have, people think, well, laser light is coherent light. Well, attributionally that's true, but what a laser is a point source object. We have a mirror back here with 100% reflectance, and a mirror up here with 95% reflectance, and they actually create a point source luminal emission. Of course, light's not an emission, it's a field perturbation modality, but people always think of light in the case of an emission, but light's not an emission, it's not a wave, it's not a particle, it doesn't have a speed, it's the rate of induction or the hysteresis of the ether, actually. So, in the case of a laser, what we're talking about is a field modality point source. A field modality point source. In this case, we're talking about like a helium neon laser or an argon laser. Argon lasers are really, really cool tube lasers. They're really expensive now and kind of hard to find, but a laser is a point source object. All anti-gravity, I was going to talk about this in a video after this. There's two types of methodologies. There's only two. And this is knowing field theory and using retroductive analysis as to the nature of how anti-gravity can work. There's only two types of anti-gravity possibilities, but I'll speak about that in a video right after this one. So, in three primary fundamental examples, we have the parabolic, the satellite dish or parabolic mirror, which is a focal gain collective parabolic. In the case of a magnet is a spatially divisive point source, okay, spatially divisive. Here on the other side, of course, we can see we have a magnet. Now, what defines a magnet is not quantitative, it's qualitative, because before a magnet becomes a magnet, it is 100% quantitatively identical. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. So since a magnet is 100% quantitatively identical before it became a magnet and after it became a magnet, its quality is what? It's a point source object with field incommensurability. The only thing that fascinates people about a magnet is the field modality of magnetism, which is the dielectric field, is ab extra to the physical magnet itself. So, it's really important to talk about point source, and I'm the only person on YouTube or the internet talking about point source that I know of anyway, and I've done some deep looking. But all future technology, the fascinating stuff that will change humanity, including anti-gravity, because anti-gravity is of two different types, and I'll speak about that in a video after this one. That's also 2-point source. Free energy must be a geometric point source, which of course obeys the right-hand rule, because energy generation is not generation, actually. Energy is not exchanged in the case of nuclear or wind or hydroelectric or burning coal. There is not a transference of energy. It's spontaneous energy generation based upon an arch form. That arch form, of course, is the AC generator. The AC generator doesn't transfigure one type of energy like burning coal or nuclear or hydroelectric or wind into electrical generation. That's not the case. It sets up the condition, and this is where the devil is in the details. It sets up the condition by means of that field geometry for energy to manifest. And this, of course, means that free energy, which I thought for a very, very, very long time was not possible, is 100% possible. I always have to be open to contradicting myself. Only a true philosopher and someone that is a Neoplatonic Platonist, you say a Platonist. So such thing as a Neoplatonic Platonist. Neoplatonic Platonist is just a Platinian monist. It's kind of like parsing words there. But upon deep analysis, and I've done a lot of thinking on this fact, I know that free energy is absolutely possible. But here's the fact and the bottom line. And I say this again, I've already said it twice in this video, all amazing technology in the future, the stuff that really changes humanity, must necessitatively be a form or modality of point source, of which we have 3 current types that all of us know about, even if we don't think about it but superficially, like a parabolic point source, which is a focal gain point source, focal gain. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's visible light or EMF or 5-watt signals from outer space from Dish Network satellite broadcast. They're broadcasting at 5 watts at 447 megahertz. Or in the case of a laser, because a laser is just a field modality point source. Or in the case of a magnet, because a magnet is a spatially divisive point source. Here I've got a magnet, with a quote-unquote North Pole and a South Pole. A magnet doesn't have poles. It has the inverse of counter space. A magnet is made a magnet by turning it into a point source object. And by being a point source object, it has field phenomena, which fascinates people about magnets, that is ab extra to the physical magnet itself. And I can't emphasize this enough. I don't say this superficially, just in passing in a video. All amazing future technology will be point source technology. It necessitatively must be that way. That's the only way it can be. Anyway, I hope you find this video something to think about, and maybe you yourself will direct your mind towards inventing the next technology that propels humanity to a better place than it is now. Goodbye. I hope you liked this video. If you did, just click the link below or tell me what you think. I'll be back home in about 48 hours from now, and goodbye.